Hi everyone, Adarsh here. So today we're gonna see how we can create a Spring security layer for Spring MVC application, and this application is based on annotations. It's a XML no XML application where we are not using even a single XML other than log4j logback configuration. Everything is inside the Java file and everything is annotated. So there are two types of ways to do the configuration in the Spring. One is XML based and another one is annotation based. So this application is completely annotation based, where the credentials are stored in MySQL database, and we're gonna fetch the credential by using native SQL queries and pass it to the Spring security authentication manager, which gonna validate the user, and based on the user privileges it gonna show up the options in the UI. So let's jump into the code and let's see how it looks like. So starting from pom.xml here, so we have group ID, artifact ID, version, all these general tags. We have a packaging as a WAR file, then name of the application, and then URL. Then we have a organizational tag, licensing tag. We have a developer tag, repositories. Then we have a project name and source code encoding. We have a JDK version, Spring version. Basically this is a Spring MVC version, and this is a Spring security version. Then GSTL version, servlet version. So first we have configured a servlet version, servlet API dependency here. Then we have a Spring core dependency, Spring web dependency, Spring web MVC. Then followed by Spring security dependencies, where we have a Spring security web, Spring security config, and Spring security taglib dependency here. Then we have a JSTL dependency, log4j dependency, and then MySQL dependency. And this is a common DBCP dependency basically here. So let's get into the code. So we have Java folder, resources, and web app. So we'll go one by one. Let's see first the configurations. So in the configuration we have a persistent configuration, security configuration, and web configuration. So let's start with the persistent configuration here. So here what we have done, we have annotated this class as a configuration class, and then we have mentioned that property source. So this is a property file basically. Inside the resources we have application properties, which consist of driver class, URL, host name, port number, database name, extra parameter, username, password for the database. So we are reading those properties and injecting those property by using @value here. Then we are creating a data source by putting those property into data source class and returning the data source bean. And this is a data source basically this is a populator class, database populator class basically. So what it does, it will read this SQL file. And populate the complete database by using create statement and insert statement. So we'll get all the data ready made into the database for our application, and this is a file which I was talking about. Then other than persistence, we have web configuration, where we have a Spring web initializer, so which extends from abstract, annotation, config, dispatcher, initializer. So here we have mentioned that get root config classes. So we have a web configuration class, web security configuration, and persistent configuration classes, and we have mapped that any request comes to that, it gonna match with this dispatcher servlet initializer class. And then we have a web MVC configuration class, so which extends from web MVC configurer adapter. Inside that we have annotated this class with the configuration and component scan. We are importing web security configuration as well as a persistent configurations. And here we have configured internal view resolver basically. So any view name which is returned from the controller gonna prefix with this path and suffix with this. So this is basically a JSTL view resolver. Then we are mentioning that anything inside the static, any request comes from the static, it should so though that is a static resources. And then this is just to read the property. So this is a property placeholder configuration basically. Then let's get into the security configuration basically. So this is a Spring Security Initializer which extends from Abstract Security Web Application Initializer, and then we have a Web Security Configuration. This class is annotated with configuration annotation and web security annotation, so web security will be enabled. This class extends from Web Security Configurer Adapter. So here we have a database query basically. So this database query gonna hit the database with the defined data source, and it's gonna get the user, and this is a second query which gonna get the roles for us basically, authorities. We have auto wired the data source here. Then we are saying that we are using we are configuring JDBC authentication provider, where we have configured data source, and we are saying that by user query which get the user and query which get the roles, and it should be role prefix should be role underscore. Here we are saying that any request come with a /static ***, it should not be intercepted as a part of Spring Security. And here exactly the Spring Security configurations are done, where we are saying that anything with the static CSS, static JS should be given all permission. Anything for logout and login should given full permission, and any request, any URL with /user should have a user permission, admin privileges, or super admin, either of them. For any URL with /admin should have at least admin or super admin privileges. Any URL with /admin should have at least should have super admin privileges, or other than that every request should be authenticated. And then we are mentioning that login page should be should be /login. So this gonna hit to the controller basically. Here we have a login controller, so request will come here, and then this gonna present this login view in front of us. And then default success URL is a welcome, which gonna show us a default home page. Here you can see that welcome, which gonna show us a home page basically. And then so here we are saying that a default success, if user login is successful, then we're gonna redirect it to the home page, which is a generalized home page for the application. If authentication is failure, it's gonna show us a login page itself. Here we have in the login controller, and then from the form we are getting a username and password as a input parameters, which consist username and password. So these are the name in the basically the name in the form, login form. And for logout, this is a URL, and after logout successful, it's gonna show us a login page, and it's gonna invalidate the session as well as the clear the authentication. In case any exception handle, means any unauthorized access or something happen, it's gonna show us a access denied page to us. So let's get into the application controller, where we have mapped a context path as well as a /welcome for the showing home page. Showing the home page, and then for showing super admin home page, this is a URL. For showing admin home page, this is a URL, and for showing user home page, this is a URL, which gonna these URLs are mapped to the particular views which we are returning from here. Then we have a login controller, where basically which gonna show us a login page, and then for logout we have mapped that it should redirect it to the login page, and for anything illegal access is gonna show us a access denied page to us. So let's get into the web app, where we have a static folder. Inside static we have a CSS, which is bootstrap CSS. JS we have bootstrap JS as well as jQuery JS. Inside web INF we have web.xml, where we have description tag basically. We have a pages basically. So this is a login page, where we have imported a JSTL core tag library here by using taglib directive, and then we are importing a style sheet as well as a JavaScript files for jQuery and bootstrap. And on load of form event, we are showing that focus should be showed on the username field. All these are the bootstrap classes basically. And then we are just showing that if any messages are there, it's gonna show here. And here's a login form where we have if any error happens, it's gonna show us in the alert danger with the red color. And this in the form we have a here we have a label for username, label for password, input box for username and input box for password, and then we have a submit button basically. And this is a CSRF token. Anyhow, I have disabled that, I guess. No, I have not disabled in this. So in this it's gonna work. And then we have a generalized home page. In the generalized home page we are so in this generalized page we are importing a JSTL core tag as well as Spring security tags. Then we are importing Bootstrap CSS, then jQuery as well as Bootstrap JS here. Then we have a div tag basically where we are checking whether the current username is not null, it means user is logged in, so we are saying that welcome, and then we are showing an option for logout. Then we have a container class here where we are showing some title as well as message which gonna set us from the controller. Then we have a div tag where we want to show the user different buttons based on his access. If super admin logs in, he can see all the buttons for going super admin home as well as user home. If admin logs in, he cannot go into the super admin, so this will not be displayed, only these two will be displayed. And if user is logged in as a user, then it's gonna show only the user page itself. Then we have a S super admin related page where we have imported a core tag library. We are importing Bootstrap CSS as well as JS files. We are just so here we are showing a logout button based on the user logged in or not, checking in the context whether we have a username available. So we are showing the welcome username as well as the logout option there. Then we are showing some messages set from the controller. Same thing we are doing in the admin here, but we are importing a JSTL core type library. Then we are importing Bootstrap CSS as well as JS for Bootstrap and jQuery. And then in the inside this tab we are checking, we want to show the user whether the user is logged in, then only show the logout option and all. Then some displaying some messages, and same thing we are doing for the user here. And then in the access denied handler we are just saying insufficient privileges. So let's start this application and see how it looks like. Application server started on port number 8080. So let's hit port number 8080 first. So here we're gonna start login into the application by hitting. So that's what I logged in as a super admin, so I can see these options in the this is a generalized home page, the logout option and welcome message. So I'm getting into the super admin home and coming back. I'm getting into admin home and coming back, and I'm getting into user home and coming back. So I'll go into super admin and I'll log out, and I'll log into as a admin. So I logged into as admin. I can show only admin option and user admin. I went into admin home. I can go into the user home, and I came back. I went into the admin home, and then I'll just log out. And now I'm gonna log it as a user, normal user. So I can show only my home page, only one option. So I get into that and I log out. So that's how this app concept work. So I'm gonna store this code into the same location where my previous code has been pushed here. So you see here, you can see that XML base, same application but in the XML version. So you can just pull it up and you can play around with this. So I hope this will help you to understand the concept. Till then, take care. Bye.